I'm here today with Yolanda Salguero, who was recently appointed by the mayor as a PSEP member. First, I want to thank her for her flexibility and time in being able to make it here for this council hearing and also introduce herself to you all. Today, we are asking you to confirm her appointment, as you did for the other members of the Portland Committee on Community Engaged Policing. Yolanda was previously an alternate and recommended for membership by the PSEP. As an alternate, she has been actively engaged in PSEP's work to date, having participated in the required training and retreat, and also having attended every PSEP meeting since the PSEP went live late last year. And a bit more about Yolanda, she works for Portland State University's Cultural Resource Centers. She's an advocate for students and supports student-centered cultural programming. Many of the students who access her resource center are first-generation college students of color. She also serves as a confidential advocate on campus, is trained in the dynamics of sexual and relationship violence, and provides support within the PSU Sexual and Relationship Violence Response Program. She has Yakima, Warm Springs, and Mexican ancestry. Although born in Portland, Yolanda was raised on the Yakima Reservation with her parents and two sisters. She earned an undergraduate degree in criminology and criminal justice and a Master of Social Work degree from Portland State University. She has worked for the National Indian Child Welfare Association, Oregon Health and Science University, Federal Bureau of Prisons, and the Portland Police Bureau. In her free time, she enjoys traveling, CrossFit, volunteering, and being in the community. And now I'd like to give Yolanda the opportunity to tell you more about herself and her interests in PSEP.
Thank you, Nicole. I was really excited to apply for this position. Some of my previous command staff at Portland Police sent me the information as well as Nicole, so I kind of had multiple people tell me to apply. But I want to use my diverse work experience in police, corrections, and social work to not only advocate for our vulnerable communities, but also to build collaborations with the Police Bureau. I've learned police policies and procedures in my position as a civilian background investigator for Portland Police. And part of the things that I was tasked for in that position was going out into the community and explaining how to become a Portland police officer. And in that capacity, it was not always received well by our community, but I did that by myself. And so with working with PSEP, I get to actually work with a committee of folks who want to build positive collaborations and partnerships. So I'm really honored. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Do you have any questions, commissioners?
Well, I have one. It's sort of my favorite question for folks who want to be on the PSEP. And first of all, thank you for stepping forward. Thank you for asking to be considered. What do you hope to bring to the PSEP? You've now had a chance to hear a number of the meetings. You are starting to get a sense of the personalities, the dynamics on PSEP. What do you think that you can bring in a positive sense to PSEP? And I'd also like to know sort of the flip side. What concerns potentially do you have, or fears do you have about your engagement in PSEP?
To your first question, what do I bring? I bring kind of a multiplicity of perspectives, so not just a law enforcement policy procedure, but also like a social work perspective, and that's needed on our committee and working with police. One of the things that I was advised by one of the police recruiters, we should be recruiting social workers for police officers. And so kind of having that, those multiple perspectives, I'm looking forward to bringing that. As far as concerns, I mean, I pretty much expect people to be angry and frustrated with police, and I've kind of been on both sides of that. And so it's not new to me. So that's kind of what I expect.
How do you take that kind of criticism, knowing that you've been to enough PSEP meetings to know there's a couple of people who are very, how do I say, enthusiastic about their participation. They care loudly. Are you comfortable in that kind of an environment?
I am comfortable in that environment. I've worked with folks like that in the various positions that I've held. And thinking about those individuals in particular, some of them struggle with mental health challenges, and so coming from a compassionate lens and knowing that sometimes with the things that they're articulating, they wholeheartedly believe what they're saying. It may not be accurate, it may not be like in the actual police report, and the people even in the audience may have said like, no, that actually didn't happen. But just knowing that that person who's articulating that really believes that's what occurred.
Very good. Colleagues, Commissioner Hardesty.
To your last point, so you've worked with the Portland Police Bureau in the past. Could you talk a little bit about what you've done with the Portland Police Bureau?
Sure. I started in the juvenile runaway unit, and that was very challenging, working with police and social workers and parents, but it gave me really good kind of personal understanding of what those teenagers, the missing teenagers and their families are going through. From there, I went into corrections and came back, and then I transitioned into Portland Police in the personnel division. So I started working for a sergeant as a public safety aide, and then I applied as a civilian background investigator. And so that was not easy, and that came with politics there too, because the command staff at the time advised me not to apply. They said those positions are going towards retired police officers, so don't even bother applying. So there was some failed recruitment, some issues with folks of color being hired from other police agencies, and so then they opened up the recruitment again, and they said, okay, now we're hiring folks with law enforcement experience, and they don't have to be a retired police officer. So then with kind of my multiplicity of experience, I was hired.
And so you have a lot of experience working within the police organization. What's been your experience working with grassroots community members?
With grassroots community members, I've worked for the National Indian Child Welfare Association, and I worked for NAIA with homeless youth. So both of those have been pretty grassroots, coming with like no budgets, and luckily Multnomah County actually was one of our counties who provided housing for NAIA's folks who were accessing services for homeless youth. I still volunteer in the community, so I do. That's part of why I want to also be on this committee. I get to advocate for students, but I also want to still work in community with adults. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'll entertain a motion.
To accept the report. Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Fritz to accept the report, a second from Commissioner Daly. Please, to accept the appointment. Please call the roll.
Job applicants often say that they are uniquely qualified to perform this role, and when I'm reviewing 20 applications that they all say that you're uniquely qualified, I tend to flip on. You really are uniquely qualified to be on this very important committee, and I very much appreciate your willingness to step up, because it is kind of coming into the government fold and being then responsible for helping to fix it, which sometimes people get impatient. So I appreciate your perspective and your patience and your willingness to serve. Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
You did.
Well, thank you for your willingness to serve. I probably could have used some of the background experience you had walking into this room. It might have helped me deal with the stress a little bit better. But
Well, I'm very enthusiastic about your desire to participate. And I'm always amazed when I read your biography, because you really do have a lot of unique experiences. I think you'll bring a fresh and important perspective to the group dynamic. And I think you understand how challenging and how important the work is that PSEP does. And so I personally could not be happier to support your appointment. I vote aye. The report is accepted. The appointment is confirmed. Thank you. Did you want to take a photo? I see that in my notes here. Was that a yes or a no?
Yeah.
Great. With all of us?
Yes.
We'll take a get up and exercise break here for a moment.
Oh, we knew.
I was there on side views, but I don't have a good one of.
I can't, sorry. Sure. Shoot it over here.
Yes.
These are just the software today.
Hey, can you move over a little bit more?
Wait, we're missing a couple.
Yeah, we need that. So is there a problem? We know
Right. Nick, why don't you get in the middle? Yeah.
Hey, can you move over a little bit?
Yeah, just one second.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Yolanda, we appreciate it very much. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, next up, 112.
Authorized cost-sharing intergovernmental agreement for Levy Ready Columbia general governments of $233,500 for $233,590 for fiscal year 1920.
Colleagues, this ordinance would authorize a 5-year intergovernmental agreement between the City of Portland and other parties participating in Levy Ready Columbia, which is a collaborative approach to Columbia River floodplain management. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Bureau of Environmental Services Director Mike Jordan to begin the presentation. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Commission. Glad to be here today. Thank you for having us. With me today, as the Mayor mentioned, my name is Mike Jordan, Director of Bureau of Environmental Services. With me is Stephanie Halleck, who is the facilitator from Oregon Solutions, that's been working with the Levy Ready Columbia project for a few years now. Also with us is Colin Rowan, who is the project manager for Levy Ready Columbia. And I believe you started your day with Mr. Reinhardt today, so we wanted to bring it back for an encore.
What a joy.
Yeah.
What a joy.
Can't get enough.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I realize that the hour is late and you have been through a lot today. You have the PowerPoint presentation before you. You also have the draft IGA. With your indulgence, we will not go through the PowerPoint. I'll simply summarize some of the points that are cogent to the City of Portland, and we stand ready to answer your questions if that's all right, Mr. Mayor.
Very good.
It may be ironic that we're here today on February the 6th. February the 6th, 1996 was the beginning of a huge flood in the City of Portland. And 23 years ago, the levees held and the flood event did not cause major damage within the area where the levees protect. So we're here today to consider the third intergovernmental agreement that you've considered in the work towards recertification of the levee system. The city's been involved in the intergovernmental partnership since the Oregon Solutions Project was designated back in 2013. The PowerPoint you have really can be summarized in terms of a number of categories. It talks a little bit about where the project has been in the past. It has a listing of all of the partners that have been involved, and they are myriad. The signatures to this, I can't remember exactly how many, but we have 11. There will be 11 signatures to this intergovernmental agreement. There is a slide in the deck that talks about the risks of flooding, both to property and economic value, essential infrastructure, and residences within the area. The slides also talk about the reasons that we're pursuing a new district formation to replace the 4 drainage districts that have been there for since early in the last century. They were formed originally to protect farmland, both from flooding and to reclaim the farmland for productive use back in the day. There aren't as many farms today as there were then, but we have many other uses in the area. There is a slide which talks about the projects that we believe may be necessary for recertification of the levees. They are throughout the levee system. However, it is worth noting that The most expensive of those projects may be the reinforcement of the railroad grade at the west end of the districts, which was the place where the failure occurred in 1948, which destroyed the city of Vanport. And lastly, there's a slide there which talks a little bit about where we're going from here. So very briefly, we have currently a feasibility study going on that is being funded by the Army Corps of Engineers. It will actually get to a place where, with local input, will get us